So, what are some ways that you can handle or approach loss? We go through so much loss in life, like in a day, in a week, in a year. Like if you think about it, the fact that we're sitting in a pandemic, right? We're all currently dealing with loss of our social lives to an extent. We're dealing with loss of human interaction. We're dealing with loss of routines. There's so much that you can lose, and there's not enough talking about how to bounce back from that, how to reroute when that happens. I read something that said, as humans, we are wired to survive. We're wired to react to threats, to things that put us in danger or that jeopardize our safety, not just physical safety, but like emotional safety as well. And so when we go through things, that survival side turns on, and it's like we need to go numb and we got to do whatever it takes to not feel this way, to get to safety. It's protecting you from feeling, but we're human and we have another side of our brains and our well-being, which is logical thinking, that we have to turn on. We can't ignore what is, right? Like we can't ignore reality, because when we do that, we don't make progress. And so I think the first thing is just acknowledgement of what is now behind us. And once you can come to that place, then you can start to say, okay, well, what's next? What's in front of me? I saw a reel on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and this guy was saying one of the ways he practices gratitude is by changing I have to I get to. So instead of saying like, oh, I have to go do this thing, you say, I get to go do this thing. It's just such a simple little switch that you can do in your mind to give you a better outlook, to give you a more positive feeling. Because here's the other part, and this is something that I've also realized in dealing with loss, is that we're not here for a long time. So much of our lives is spent like on autopilot, or, just kind of numbing things that we don't want to deal with or we don't want to believe. But when you really understand mortality and you understand that your time here is limited, and not only is it limited, but you don't know when your time is going to come to an end here. The weight of that, for me at least, has been one of the driving factors of me not being able to rest until I achieve the things that I want to achieve, until I do the things that I feel like I was placed here to do. And so going back to what I was saying about dealing with loss and dealing with change and dealing with transition, is that you got to change your mindset to see that things didn't pan out the way you want them to, but you get this opportunity to create something entirely new. You get this opportunity to go after something completely different. Are you a cup half empty or a cup half full, or glass, whatever? Because let me tell you, like, negativity will fuck you up. Negativity will set you back. It set me back for years. Negative self-talk, afraid to take a leap of faith, afraid to go after a better way, a better life, better choices. If you have that mindset and you're at a point in your life where like you can't go back to where things were, there is no going back. How do you deal? There's a book, I think it's called The Growth Mindset, or it's just called Mindset, actually, by Carol Dweck. In that book, she said that like a high percentage of people live out their life with a fixed mindset. Fixed meaning, are you going to grow or are you going to stay the same? For a lot of people, it takes years of work. Having a mindset shift, practicing gratitude, seeing things in a positive way, not looking back at the past and moping about it and feeling like you were cheated in some way or you were left out or left behind. That's not an easy thing to do. It's possible. You have to continuously be telling yourself that. It's an abundance mindset. If you've never taken the time to learn about mindsets and learn about our brains and how they work, or you've never heard the words growth mindset, abundance mindset, actually look these things up. Go on Google, find articles or YouTube videos of people discussing this, because it's important. This is how I got the knowledge, because I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm stuck in this cycle of, I say I'm going to do something, or I tell myself this is what I want, and it doesn't pan out. I had to get to a point where I was tired of my own shit. And I think that's really what it comes down to. That's when you'll start to see the change. When it gets to the point that you can't bear to be honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, then who the hell can you be honest with? Really let that sink in. When you understand the weight of that, it's like a fucking aha moment. If you truly understand the importance of being true to yourself, being honest to yourself, everything else will start to fall in place. You'll find a way. So for example, when I moved to LA, I had these hopes of becoming a big time makeup artist. I wanted to work on TV shows, movies, and do that as a career. That was what I had decided for myself. And so I went to makeup school and I started working on student films. So I would go and do the makeup for their projects. And it was really good experience. Like a lot of times they would have, like, their school would allow them to use like top tier cameras for filmmaking. And it would be a big production. Like I was on set doing makeup. I had my little makeup station. I brought my makeup chair. I bought my table. I bought my kit. And the actors and actresses would come and sit down and I'd do their makeup. And it gave me a lot of anxiety, for one. I feel like anybody who is in service can relate. Sometimes when you are first starting out, your anxiety is high because you tell yourself that you're not good enough, that like this is not going to go the way you planned, and you just think that like all hell is going to break loose. That rarely happens in my experience, but the power of the mind, the power of mindset. and my thinking was that, okay, if I keep working on these films and I keep connecting with these people, because one job often led to another, I would find my crew of people who I would be their go-to makeup artist. But I got stuck in that mindset of I'm not good enough. I compared myself a lot to other makeup artists because, this is LA, come on. And, I do one little eyeshadow application and maybe it wasn't blended right on one side, or maybe the lip liner was a little crooked, or the brows were a little crooked, or whatever. And I would put myself down and I would start to think like, fuck, I'm just not going to get this. I just don't think this is for me. And then I would give up. I would allow that negativity to creep in and make a home for itself in my mind. And I let that hold me back. I feel like I got to a point where I was also like, this is a lot of fucking work. Like you're on your feet for sometimes 12 hours or more a day. And I was like, I don't know if this is something I want to do long term. So it was also me, I didn't know that until I actually did it. And that's the thing, like you learn by doing. I feel like I'm digressing and I'm kind of all over the place and I'm hitting all these points, but now that I'm years removed from that time of my life, I look back at my work, y'all, and I was fucking good. My work was good. Of course, it could improve because perfection is not attainable, but I talked myself out of it. And so for a while, I had to deal with feeling inadequate, of feeling like I wasn't good enough to achieve this thing. And that wasn't okay. We are creatures who adapt to our circumstances. We're wired to survive. And so you got to ask yourself, do you want to survive in a negative way? Or do you want to survive in a way that's filled with learning, with challenging yourself, with putting yourself out there and seeing what you can create for yourself? And I'm at a point now where I feel like true joy comes when you are of service to other people. I don't know of a situation where someone is like a loner. They dedicate all their time to doing things for themselves and they're happy. I have not seen that. So that's the other thing. Ask yourself, how can you be of service to those around you? It could be your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your dog. For example, me, I have had this goal of getting back into my workout routine. I spent this whole summer just like living my best life, going to brunch, going on vacation. So I'm now at a point where my body is like, girl, we need a change. You got to do something. We can't stay here. So I committed this week to walking my dog. I was like, you know what, little Denzel, that's his name. I said, we're going to go on a walk because I know he needs it too. We be in this house cooped up. I need some fresh air because I'm always behind my computer. He needs some fresh air because he's just always asleep. And so him and I took a walk twice this week so far. I'm probably going to go tomorrow morning too, but I will go tomorrow morning. That's the other thing, y'all. I'm trying to learn how to not say, I'm probably going to do this. I'm thinking about doing this. Like, no, girl, you will do it. It's the time. We ain't got, like I just said, I ain't got time to go backwards. I ain't got time to sit still. So I feel like that's a good point. Like telling yourself, you will do this. You have no choice but to do it. You have no choice but to move forward because you can't sit still, y'all. We can't sit still. We're not creatures of stillness unless you're meditating, of course. But don't be complacent. Too many people in life are just complacent, and that shit is not okay because it's a whole world of people out here getting it. That's the thing that I've learned also about living out there in LA. It's a whole bunch of movers and shakers. And while I was sitting out there beating myself up for every negative thought that I had about myself as a makeup artist, there was 20 other makeup artists out there killing it, not letting that negative self-talk get to them. I truly, truly believe that anything good in life, like any good changes in life, starts with being self-aware. And in order to be self-aware, for me, what I've had to do is I've had to step back, almost like step out of my own mind and look at myself objectively to see how I think and to notice the patterns in my thoughts. And so I want to challenge each of my listeners to this week, take a step back and just observe your thoughts. It's a hard thing to do. It ain't easy, y'all, because you have to remind yourself to do it. One of the ways I advocate for this, especially on my YouTube channel, is journaling. You could get a journal, keep it at your bed, and at the end of the day, write down some of the mindsets that you had throughout the day. You can write down some of the shit that pissed you off during the day, what made you feel good during the day. That's a good way to start tracking your thought patterns. Write some notes in your notes app. Start writing stuff down in there, or don't write it at all, but just commit to improving your mindset and taking the first step of just observing your thoughts. I feel like that's the most basic thing you can do. If you don't want to go write nothing, don't go write anything if it feels like an extra step for you. I'm all about taking steps that feel right to you, but commit to improving your mindset, commit to improving your behaviors, your life. It starts with acknowledging where you are, acknowledging your current behaviors, your current mindsets, your current practices. And if you're someone who already does this, if you're listening to this, you like, Kelsey, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, then hey, reach out to me, share some tips with me, because I'm all about learning and sharing and growing and learning from other people, because I don't know many people who are on this journey of improving themselves, improving their mindsets, who are brave enough to confront themselves. It takes a level of courage to really look at yourself and say, okay, this shit ain't right. This is what's not working, and this is what we're going to try instead. You ain't got to have the answers, but you got to try something different. I think that's really brave, and I think that's really powerful. And I think that's where true change starts to happen. That's doing the work. So anyway, y'all, I'm going to close this out. I thank y'all so much for listening. Definitely, if you have any thoughts you want to share with me, hit me up on Instagram. You can DM me at Queen of Cups Podcast. Until the next episode, y'all, I'm wishing you guys love and light. Take it easy out there. Be safe.